Maybe you guys have seen this, maybe you haven't. But luckily, I'm here to make sure you see it. Here's Jeffrey Epstein back in March of 2010. March of 2010.
Have you ever had a personal relationship with Donald Trump?
What do you mean by personal relationships?
Have you socialized with him?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18?
Though I'd like to answer that question, at least today, I'm going to have to assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights, sir.
That was Jeffrey Epstein back in March of 2010, evoking his 5th, 6th, 14th, and 16th, and any other amendments and rights that he can evoke to not answer the question of whether or not he socialized with Donald Trump with underage girls. This is in 2010. I believe 2006 was when the shit started hitting the fan with Jeffrey Epstein and all the things that he had been doing and had been selling off and trafficking women and girls to any of the highest bidders and rich and important people as possible. This isn't newly unearthed video or information. This is what we've already seen and what we've already known. But for some reason in this country, we've allowed this guy to get away with the things that he's gotten away with for a very, very long time. You guys know Luke, Uncle Luke from 2 Live Crew, 80s and 90s hip hop group. And if you don't know about Luke, Luke and the crew had very raunchy songs talking about women, talking about sex, talking about the filthy things they do with them and all that. It was like shock value type of music. This is 8 years ago on a Sirius XM show with Mark Thompson called Make It Plain. Uncle Luke talked about his experience in going to see at a party that Donald Trump invited him to.
So, Uncle Luke, tell us what happened. You went with Eddie Murphy and Mike Tyson. The three of you were together?
Yes.
Uh-huh. And Donald Trump invited you all personally.
Yeah.
Tell us what happened, Uncle Luke. What happened at that party that made you have to leave?
Well, I mean, it was just a lot of things going on. You know, a lot of things that I don't care to engage in. I think I probably was there for every bit of maybe 45 minutes before I realized all these different things that was going on. And I was like, okay, it's time for me to go here. It was just some things that I don't really care to discuss. Because, I mean, you know, one thing about me, I don't kiss and tell. But at the same time, the party was going on. And, you know, it was a lot of things. Put it this way, there were a lot of things going on. A lot of things. So a lot of things in a lot of different rooms. There was a lot of different rooms going on in the house. And every time you open up a door, there was something else going on that I really didn't care to be a part of.
So presumably there were women in these rooms?
Oh yeah, a lot of women.
Mm-hmm. How were they
all over the room?
How were they dressed, Uncle Luke?
Half naked.
Half naked.
Half naked and some naked.
Half naked and some naked. Was there any assaultive behavior toward women at this Donald Trump party?
No.
No assaultive behavior. Okay.
No, all the women were enjoying themselves like they do.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You know, but the thing, let me tell you, the thing is when you're around, I've been around a lot of models and a lot of these pageant women, because that's what mostly it was. It was mostly pageant women.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of these women ain't of age. So when you got a whole bunch of these women running around, whether they of age or not, you know, there's a lot of things going on. You just, you know, some women look too young. I mean, they were all enjoying themselves. That's what they were there for. But were they old enough to be enjoying themselves? I don't know.
Was there sex?
Of course there was.
I guess that's a stupid question now to ask. Okay, so I think I got you now. You're saying that all this was going on and you weren't clear as to whether these were adults. I
wasn't clear whether or not they were adults, and I wasn't clear whether or not, you know, whether I wanted to be in that kind of environment where some of these other things that was going on in there.
Mark Thompson asked him. It was kind of a little bit like pulling teeth here and there because as you heard Luke say from the beginning, he didn't want to kiss and tell. And also he doesn't want to be a snitch and talk about all the things that he saw. But then again, he saw those things and he wanted to get the hell out of there. And some of those things that he saw was underage women, what he deemed to be underage women, topless, naked, in different rooms. There was more rooms in his house than he's ever seen. There's a room and then another room and then another room and another room of the same kind of nefarious behavior. Sex, drugs, and alcohol is what he pointed out. Now, this isn't connected directly. He didn't say Jeffrey Epstein was there or anything, but this definitely goes to the notion of what it is we've heard and seen Donald Trump talk about over the years on Howard Stern's show. I think there was an Inside Edition video where he was talking about this 11, 12-year-old girl going up an escalator, and he said, I'm be dating her in 10 years, all those things. And how what he has in common with his daughter, Ivanka, is sex. And if she wasn't his daughter, he'd be dating her. Like, we can go through 100 of these things. So as you hear these things continue to come out, starting with Jeffrey Epstein, not wanting to talk about whether or not they partied with underage girls, or then to Luke talking about why he ran his ass out of that house because he didn't want to be caught up in any nonsense. It seems like it all kind of goes together and makes a whole lot of sense. There was more details from that from this Vice article that talked about this. There was a 2016 Vice article that was talking about the whole things about the contents of this phone book that Jeffrey Epstein had that they've also caught up on. It said among people listed in the phone book, Epstein's phone book, were well-known political figures such as Prince Bandar of Saudi Arabia, Tony Blair, former Utah governor and Republican presidential candidate John Huntsman, Senator Edward Kennedy, and Henry Kissinger. Also listed were major political contributors like David Koch and Pepe Fanjul. All those names were listed alphabetically at the front of Epstein's telephone book, along with the names of Trump's former wife, Ivana, and his daughter, Ivanka, and his brother, Robert. Epstein created a number of other odd categories in this book, including one called Jeffrey. There were dozens of names in the Jeffrey category, including Ehud Barak, Alan Dershowitz, then Senator John Kerry, former Senator and lobbyist George Mitchell, powerhouse DC lobbyist Thomas Quinn, and David Rockefeller. Trump was also listed in this section, and under his name, there were 14 phone numbers, including emergency numbers, car numbers, and numbers to Trump's security guard and housemen. Again, as we already knew, he and Jeffrey Epstein were very close friends. They were buddies. They partied together. Here's another little piece of information that might give you a little bit of a glimpse into the mind of Donald Trump, who's probably losing it today. Maggie Haberman, who's been she reveals a lot of stuff about him. I'm not sure how she gets all the information that she does, but she wrote a book and she was on CNN and she was talking about the way that Donald Trump during his first term, when Ghislaine Maxwell went to prison, and she was talking about some of the people that could have been included in the whole ring. Look at the way she describes the way he responded to that.
You wrote that President Trump was asking about Ghislaine Maxwell during the first term after, she was arrested. What exactly did he want to know?
Sure. So there was this moment, as you remember, John, at a coronavirus briefing where the president said that then president said that he wished her well when he was asked about her arrest, and that confused even some of his own allies what exactly that meant. Later, a couple of days later, I believe it was, in an Oval Office meeting with some advisors, he was talking about a New York Post item he had seen where someone was quoted talking about whom Ghislaine Maxwell might have information about, and I think they were suggesting that she did. The president asked advisors if they had seen that item and then said, "She say anything about me?"
Did she say anything about me as she was talking about all this that was going down? Did she, but as she's listing names, did she say anything about me? He wanted to know so he could see how he could respond, worrying that maybe during his first term, that was going to be a problem for him. Again, the speculation is flying. This guy literally ran on this as one of his main pillars of destroying the deep state and taking it apart brick by brick, and then bringing in true loyalists to the American people to do right by them. And by the way, as people, report about this, I've seen some folks and some networks going with the Democrats to find a way to divide and conquer here on this. There's not a division of dividing and conquer on people who finally seeing the light about who this guy really is and wanting answers on it. I just think it's insulting. I'm sure there's plenty of people who only care about the political side of this, and there's many more people who care about the victims that were involved in this and finding justice behind it. That's why when you see these some of these folks talk on the internet about how what if Bill Clinton's in there? Please, if Bill Clinton's in there, release all of that, bro.